Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. In today's lesson, we're gonna replicate this figure in here, not only in 2D but in 3D as well, as you can see in here, right? There is this like a gear shaft, something like that. And it's made by our friend KKM Soft. It was mainly designed for Inventor, but we're gonna be using Autocad in this lesson. So let's go with it. Let's not forget this is page number 13. So going to AutoCAD, we're gonna create a new file. And for that in here, it's a CAD ISO. We click here and new, and a new file is open. Now we have to create, first let's create two viewports. So we write down B ports, see, right? B ports and click in this option. This new window will appear, and from here I'm gonna select two vertical. So we're gonna draw in this viewport, but we will keep the frozen, the image of the PDF in this one. Now let's click on OK, and now we have two viewports. See? Now on here we're gonna import the PDF. For that, I'm going on the top left corner on the AutoCAD symbol, click here, and we're going to import in the option PDF. We click in here and we now click enter in here and push enter. And if my memory doesn't fail, it's this one, Autodesk Inventor Practice. So click here. Once selected, we click in open. And as you see, there are all the figures in here. It was the page number 13 actually, and you can see in here, right? We click in here, we check that it's raster images, just in case it's not a drawing, but a raster image, and we click on OK. See, now the figure is imported. We have imported the figure, and it's not a raster image as well. Well, only maybe this one. Yeah, this one is the image, but this is drawing, you see? Like all the lines and all the stuff. Oh, but we have some missing features in here, and that is the annotation in here, the dimension. So we're running this problem. We'll have to Control A here to select everything, and now we push the delete button on our keyboard. And instead, we're gonna take a capture, and for that, I will be using snipping tool. And on the snipping tool, I'm gonna copy the figure and paste it in here. So we push Control B, and now we click enter. We click in the mouse, and now the figure is copied. See, we're gonna keep it like that, and we can adjust or do any stuff in here. Nice. So let's reduce a little bit this space, and let's go with this viewport. First thing first, let's see that in here to create the spinning wheel, I don't know what's the name, to be honest, we have to create different circles and an arc. For example, we see that in here, the outer circle has a diameter of 32. The outer circle has a diameter of 40, while the inner circle has a diameter of 32. Also, here is this arc in here that has a radius of 33. So what are we gonna do? We click in here, in this viewport, and we go to this part of the circle. And because we know the diameter, we click on the arrow that is pointing down, and we are gonna choose center and diameter. We click on here, and we can click in any point, maybe here, and we're gonna input the diameter. In this case, it's going to be 40, enter, and we see a little circle. To make it closer, we double click the mouse scroll wheel button. We double click that. Oh, well, in this case, it's gonna be kind of a mistake because there's the figure as well. So instead, we're gonna press C, enter. We click here and click here, to get it closer. Or just use the mouse scroll wheel, forward to zoom in, and backwards to zoom out. Once we can see it, we're gonna go again for the circle. Again, in center and diameter, we click on it, and we're gonna use the same center. Okay, so we click here on the center, and now we input the second diameter. That is 32, enter. That is the second circle. Now, what else? We need a reference line. In my case, it's going to be this one. The tool line, click in here. We go to we go here and we're gonna push here. We click here on the center. And you see that it has like a free rotation, right? We're gonna lock that using F8, activating the ortho mode. And we're gonna get it like in here, something like that. That's like a reference line. It doesn't matter that it's outside of the outer circle. Now, if we check on the drawing, right, it says that there is a 60 degrees angle between this one, the reference line, and this one. But 60 is referred to this line. If we take in consideration, it has to be reference the angle from the x-axis, that is this axis in here. And we know that from the x-axis to the y-axis reference line is 90 degrees. So 90 minus 60 equals 30 degrees. So let's go here and we're going to use line again. You click here on line and now we go click on the center again. And it does not say the length, but it says the angle. So maybe we can click 40. We use the less than symbol, right? And we input the angle that is 30. Remember, not 60 because that's referring to this axis, but we're gonna use the angle referring to the x-axis. That is 30, so we click enter, and now you see that there is the other line, right? We click enter, and now we have these two lines, this one and this one. Also, you see that there's this angle, this like arc in here that says R23, that is radius 23, and for that, we're gonna be using the arc tool. We go here and we check that it's on the option of start and end radius. Why it is? Because we know 2 points and also we know the radius. Click in here, we click in here, now we click in here, and we check that the arc is opening to the part we want it to open, Now we write down the radius, 23, enter, and there is the arc, right? Now we have a problem here because this is like the only piece we want to get, Only this piece in here. Now we have this, and I recommend you to trim this part. For that, we're gonna write down tr, trim, and we cut out this piece. Push and click, right? Enter. Now we want only this region in here. For that, I'm gonna be using boundary. Boundary, we click here, and this new window will appear. We're gonna keep it like that and pushing OK. And we're gonna click inside of this region, this boundary. Click here and see that is now in blue. We push enter and a new boundary is created. If we click in here and we move this, I'm gonna move it all around here. See? we can delete all this. How's that? Well, I'm gonna use click and turn it to the left. See, once it's everything selected, we push in delete. Now that I have this piece here, we're gonna create an array because it's basically a symmetrical form. Why is that? Because if I check in here on the original, right, you see that it's everything like that. Okay. So we're gonna click this one here, this boundary, and we're gonna write down array. Enter, and we input polar, we design the center, and by default it will give us the array of 6 pieces. So that's what we need because it's like 6 pieces, right? Push enter on the keyboard. And finally we need to create these 2 circles in here. One is diameter 6 through, and the other is diameter 12. So we can use the radius. Let's go to this viewport. We click here on the center, on the circle, I mean, center diameter. We go to the center of the piece and we input 12. Enter. We go again in here, click. We click here in the center and input 6, enter. Now, what's the main idea? If you check on the piece, these lines in here must not be, right? In here, like only the circles and only this boundary. The problem is that this boundary has these lines, but we cannot trim them. Why? Because it's an array. If you try and trim this, maybe with TR, you try and trim them like this, you will see that it has no effect because it's an array. So we're gonna use the command explode. And we're gonna select all these things. Enter. And now you see that every piece is not part of the array anymore. Now we can use trim, enter, and we're gonna be cutting all these lines. See? Enter, and finally we can select these lines in here as well. Watch out not to select the circle. For that, I'm gonna be holding shift and select this piece, select this line and this line as well, and delete. Delete, there it is. Nice, so we have the figure. Now to turn it 3D, it's the interesting stuff. Let's go to the viewport here and check on the 3D. For that, it's only a Presspull in this part. You have in the section AA, but we see that there is this little like hole in down here, you know, in the base. The dimensions are 6 for the main piece, and for the circle, it's 7. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna check in here, and holding shift and holding the mouse scroll wheel button, I'm gonna start rotating a little bit on my viewport. See? I'm gonna also change it from here to 3D Basics on this little wheel, 3D Basics, and you'll see that the ribbon now has changed. And on here on the ribbon, I'm gonna use the Presspull tool. Now the Presspull tool, we see that the area, right, is now selected in a light blue. We click on here and see how it's starting to like going up, you know. We're giving some height to our figure. Now we write down the height, then in this case it's going to be 6, enter, and enter again. You see that right now it's on wireframe, but you can change this if we write down the command shade. We push enter, And you see that now the piece is like this. Now we're gonna press pull in this, it's this circle in here. So we go to the press pull tool and see that now it's selected. We click here and it's going up. Now this one is 7, enter, and see that it's a little bit overlapping the main figure. Now let's go and change this again to 2D wireframe. And there's this little step that we need again, because there's this like void area in here, right? That has a length or a height of 1. So we're gonna create a cylinder. For that, we write down. But first, we need to join the two pieces. We're gonna write down union, enter. We click on this one and this one as well. Click enter. And now it's a single piece. Now to create a cylinder, we write down CYL, enter. We check that the cylinder is going to be created. Actually, in this center, so once the center is selected, we click in here and we create it with a radius of 6, something like that. So we write 6, enter, and we go in this direction, up, and we write down 1, enter. And this is the little cylinder in here. But we're going to make a subtraction. So for that, I'm going to write down subtract, or SU. We choose the main solid, that is this one, enter, and now the cylinder, enter. See? And now the cylinder is no more. Now there is a void where was the cylinder. We're going to write down shade again. And how do we check this? Well, if you check on this part, right? There's the section AA. And the section AA is actually from this part to this part. You can be either this one, or this one. It doesn't matter. The main idea here is to divide or to cut the piece. And for that, I'm going to be using the command SL or slice. We select the object, click, enter, and now we're going to choose 2 points, 2 reference points to make the cut. We're going to choose from here to here. We click, we push enter, and now the piece is cut. We can move here this piece, right? See one piece here and another one here. So this solid can be moved. If we hold it here with a click button, right? And we try and check on the view, on this view, holding both shift and also the scroll wheel button in the mouse. You see that here is that empty void where it used to be the cylinder with a height of 1. And that is mainly what we can see in this cut of the section AA. See? Let me see if it's aligned to the cube. Oof, actually zoom out. Apparently it's aligned to the cube, something like that. Well, not exactly. But it's something like that, you see? And that will be the piece in 3D. The solid 3D, this kind of gear. You can even assign the color. If we click in here, we're gonna push Ctrl 1, And into properties, I'm gonna choose color by layer and we change it to red. We click in here and now see that here is the red gear, right? See you then in the next video.